Are Switchheads, and thank you for joining me once again. Today we're looking at Dismantle, a post-apocalypse scavenger builder with a surprising amount to do. But before we get building a brand new world full of hope and dreams, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for weekly reviews and sales, and hit that like button if you enjoy any of my content, as it really does help small channels like mine grow. A big thank you for doing all that, and let's get building. Engage. If you're not familiar with this sort of survival, come destruction and building type game, then there's a lot to take in. So I apologise if I oversimplify or explain too much while I try to find a middle ground for newcomers and seasoned players. So for starters, after you climb out of your bunker into the big wide world, you soon realise that your trusty crowbar and backpack are going to be your best friends in this new, not so friendly world. Wilson! Both these items can be upgraded with the right materials and at a campsite, meaning you can carry more items and also break apart harder materials. Both of these items are very important, as you can only carry a certain amount of items at once, and once that room has run out, you have to traipse all the way back to camp to offload it into crates. Okay, so once you've collected enough items that you don't want to lose them or you're full, you come back here and just click in the box and it all goes in there, which is kind of handy. And yeah, there's loads of these strewn around. Luckily enough though, there are many different campsites as you travel around the many different areas. It's still a bit of a pain having to go back and forth though, so bigger backpack means less trips to camp and helps speed up the progress. The crowbar, however, is used to gather materials by destroying everything around you. Collecting metals, fabrics and the like is key to upgrading and building items needed to survive in this harsh world. And this can be upgraded as well, so that you can smash up bigger and other materials, as well as its damage for its other use, which still sticks with the smashing of things, but this time it's to kill off the mutated people that once inhabited these glorious areas. Mastering the melee crowbar is one thing, but you will also need to master the dodge to get out of the way of these mutants. This works well enough and kind of gives the fighting an extra layer. Okay, so whilst not being the most in-depth battling system that I've ever seen, especially as it's only melee, it's actually not bad. This dodge roll type thing will be your best friend. And yeah, it does serve a purpose. It does really work, honestly. And then you've got these little throwable items as well that you can, like knives and things like that you can throw as well. Yeah, I'm actually quite pleased with the combat system. It's not too bad, or it's not being too heavy. It's also not too light as well. In an interesting twist to the combat, you would only have a few craftable ranged weapons like throwing knives, forcing you to not blast your way through the areas and making you think a little bit more tactical. This is even more so when you take into account that every time you rest at a camp, which will replenish your weapons and your health, but it will also respawn all the mutants. This little inconvenience can be stopped once you connect some towers together to form a network, seen on the rather impressive map. Oh yay, a map. And to be honest with you, what an impressive map it is. Look at all of that. And then you come down here, there is actually a level of detail to this. In fact, whilst I'm at it, why don't I go through a few other little things. These are your quests, main quests, and then side quests that you can go on. Your inventory, which you can swap things out. Look, I built a spade, got throwing knives, blood pack, and yep, the system so that you can actually go on to co-op and everything. That's pretty good. Oh, there's a text log just in case you've missed text. And then you've got all of this. Look at this. There's a huge amount of stuff. Just showing you loads and loads of different things that you can collect, that you have. It's just quite impressive what there is to this game and how in-depth it does go. While the mutants come in different styles, normal, there's spitting ones, there's ones with giant claws, and even animals that start attacking you as well. And some of these even look mutated as well. But I have to admit that there doesn't seem to be much variation between them the further in you go. The mutants seem to be triggered by sound, and you can see this in a little orb that fills up the closer and more noise you make around them. So stealth is also a key aspect within this game, although sometimes you can be really close to them and they pay no attention. It kind of varies. Sometimes they're really dumb and sometimes they seem to really be heightened by the sounds you're making. Added to these normalish creatures, there are kind of gate bosses or hordes to be had in order to open gates between sections. And once these mutants are cleared, you use the towers to open the gates. Before I go on, it's important I say that the game can be played in 2-player co-op. And I have to say, me and my daughter had a blast playing this in co-op. Just as fun as in single player, but with a little less progression as she's only 7 years old. All due to the gameplay mechanics, she picked it up rather well. And apart from screaming when there was multiple enemies on screen, it all went kinda smoothly. If I had to pick on anything about the co-op play, it's the fact that it doesn't split into 2 screens. So you're kind of like tethered together in the same area. And if you want to go that way and she wants to go that way, you can't do it. You have to stay together. And it was slightly annoying, but not a game breaker by any means. Back to the mechanics. As you progress, there's a invent and craft tree for upgrading and inventing things. Go figure. Like the sleeping bag, as the game has a day-night cycle, which you can skip various amounts of hours depending on how much you upgrade your sleeping bag. Although I will say that some items need you to be a certain level to invent or craft, and this can create at times, little bit of a grind. Okay, so at the campfire, you can upgrade your gear, and that's sort of like your backpack, crowbar, throwing knives, things like that. And then your inventory, I've shown you, your sleeping bag so that you can sleep. And then you've got this little thing, and this is actually quite impressive. Although there's not hundreds of things here, there are still quite a few different things that you can upgrade from different levels, and obviously different type of like outfits, tools, supplies, misc, if you like. Then you got your fishing, your farming, and your digging, and it's all unlocked slowly as you actually get through and, you know, level up and the like. Even the side mechanics in this game are kind of interesting, as you can do and, in a basic way and only when unlocked, things like farming, cooking, and even fishing. Build flashlights, clothing, armor, more throwable weapons, and even hunt down and kill animals to, well, basically cook and eat them. To be honest, it's the sort of game that can have a grind to it, and I got lost in all the side quests and things to be done. And you know what? Within all of this, I was actually having fun doing it. There really is so much here to do, and some I've not even mentioned, and these bits I will actually leave you to discover yourselves. To me, it looks pretty darn good, and even the map looked good. I did notice a little slowdown from time to time, but for me nothing too major. I did also notice some nice little touches here and there, like the infected chasing deer to try and eat them. Nice touches like these really helped make the world they created feel alive. And if I really had one gripe about the looks of the game, it's sometimes the scenery can get in the way of things, even more so in the fray of battle when you don't have time to control the camera as well. The audio was atmospheric, and while nothing too over the top, it was enough to again make it feel like it was a living world. The music seemed decent from what I heard, but I play most of it without it turned on for recording purposes. In fact, There were so many options for both graphics and audio, it felt like I was playing a scaled down PC game. The good. There is so much to do, I got caught up in wandering and collecting. It even affected my progress in the missions. I believe that's a good thing. A nice amount of other mechanics, even if some are just basic. Combat was not as bad as I feared due to the melee only. Co-op play was a blast and added another dimension to the game. Oh, and you can even turn damage on to the other players. The bad. To be honest, it can be a little grindy. Frame rate issues from time to time, although I will say here that the dev has a day one patch for some issues in the game, so hopefully it will all be patched up by the time you all get hold of it. Being tethered in co-op felt a little restrictive. Scenery sometimes getting in the way. I'm really not done with this game and I really enjoyed just playing and discovering, and that co-op play was so much fun. I played a few like this before and by far this is the best I've played, and with that I'm going to give it a 4+ out of 5, and I highly recommend it to any fans of the genre, or even if you've got a mate that likes playing these sort of games as well, drag them around and just play in co-op. And as I search this crate for my alternative, why not go ahead and subscribe to the channel for weekly reviews and sales videos. It would also help immensely to get a like as well, because this really does help small channels like mine grow with the algorithm, and many thanks for those that do. Here it is. My alternative today is going to be Dawn of Survivors 1 or 2, mainly because they're the same type of genre as Dismantled, but a little different and a little less engaging, but worth a play after you have completed Dismantle. And if you have any thoughts on Dismantle or even a better alternative, let us all know in the comments. And honestly, feel free to come and carry on the conversation in the community Discord. Link is down below, because life is better when we switch together.